Power outages are holding businesses back in Africa. So what's being done to keep the lights on? An Ebola survivor and nurse gives much-needed close contact care and support to victims of the disease in Liberia. And how David Beckham is UNICEF's lucky number 7. Africa 54 starts right now.
Hello and welcome. I'm Vincent McCory. This is Africa 54. Tonight, Niger has declared war on the Nigerian Islamist militant group Boko Haram. In a unanimous vote, the National Assembly of Niger authorized the government to send troops to fight Boko Haram as part of an international coalition to stop the terrorist group. Niger's Minister of Defense, Karidia Mahamadou, said, quote, "We will wage war on Boko Haram until we remove their last stronghold." The jihadist sect has killed thousands of people and kidnapped hundreds in a bid to impose its rule in northeastern Nigeria and stepped up cross-border incursions into Cameroon. In the last few days, Niger has massed more than 3,000 troops in Diffa on its southeastern border with Nigeria, awaiting approval to go on the offensive. Well, Boko Haram has launched a new attacks in Niger and Cameroon as the group's leader vows to defeat soldiers fighting the group. A new video posted on YouTube showed Boko Haram chief Abubakar Shekau on a wild rant mocking the regional force being assembled to combat the Islamist extremists.
This message is to the people and the leaders of Africa. You cannot defeat us. 7,500 is too small to defeat us. Do you think Boko Haram is like Biafra war? Idris Deby, you think it's the kind of war you fought? You cannot fight us. You lose. Bring it on. You cannot come up against Allah.
Well, witnesses say Boko Haram gunmen attacked a prison in the southeastern Niger town of Diffa, but were driven back by Niger's army. Later, reports from northern Cameroon say militants had seized a bus with at least 18 people on board. A resident from the town of Koza told the Associated Press that the militants dropped the bus back towards the Nigerian border. Well, Nigeria's national elections have been delayed 6 weeks due to security concerns impacting a close presidential race and the inability of millions of people to cast ballots. Now, the Election Commission made the decision Saturday, saying voting will take place after a planned major operation against Boko Haram insurgents in the northeast. Chris Stein has just returned from a few violence-wrecked towns there and reports on voter fears.
When the Boko Haram extremist group stormed this town in Nigeria's Adamawa state in November, they went to work destroying all they disliked. That included Dim Uwa's stock of beer, which is now just a pile of broken glass and melted plastic. The town of Hong these days is just a few steps removed from a ghost town. Uwa says many of the townspeople have fled. Nigeria's Election Commission has delayed the vote till March 28th, so Nigeria and its neighbors can have more time to fight off Boko Haram. People here question whether voters will feel safe returning to Hong to cast their ballot.
They scare people. Many people left here, like my landlord here. The woman, the husband is dead. The children, they were in Yola. I don't know how they will do if we allow them to vote there. But don't see them coming back here to vote.
Adamawa and neighboring Borno and Yobe states have all been hard hit by Boko Haram's violence since 2009. About 1 million people have fled their homes in just the last year as the group tried to establish strict Islamic law across the northeast. Some went into Cameroon, Niger, and Chad. Others ended up at camps for internally displaced people, like this one across the river from the Adamawa state capital, Yola. Here, around 6,400 people sleep in tents or on bunk beds in a dorm. Few have the voter's card necessary to cast their ballot, says Alhaji Modu Ghana, chairman of the Displaced People's Association.
About voting, we don't know what government can do about we IDPs. Whether he will convey anybody back to his local government, or he may take a decision to organize how we can vote, we IDPs here. You know, no one's come out with something like documents or voter's card or any receipt, because you are thinking of your life, you have no time to check off something like this. Even this national ID card, no one carry. We all left it back.
Muhammadu Buhari, a former military ruler who is challenging incumbent President Goodluck Jonathan, is popular across much of the north. While Mr. Jonathan has presided over Nigeria's ascension to becoming Africa's largest economy, many Buhari supporters criticize the president for failing to stop the fighting in the northeast. Usman Omar's town was one of those taken over by the insurgents.
Because of the Boko Haram, because of the corruption, Goodluck is not a leader. He's killing people with Adamawa. Goodluck has never come. He's coming about issue with campaign.
Nigeria's election commission has set up distribution points to get voter cards to displaced people. Whether that plan will work remains to be seen, but one thing is for sure. Unless Nigeria is able to reclaim the parts of the northeast still controlled by Boko Haram, no voting will happen there at all. Chris Stein for VOA News, Hong, Nigeria.
Well, thanks, Chris. Now, this week on Africa 54, we are running you a special series called Power Africa. This is delving into the power issues affecting the continent. So be sure to stay with us. Power outages are actually a fact of life across most of Africa, with the near daily blackouts affecting the rich and poor nations alike. And our viewers, Gabe Joslo reports on the challenges power generation and supply across Africa and what is being done now to keep this light, or the lights on the continent, on.
A small business in Nairobi that began as a party supply outfit has expanded to serve restaurants and supermarkets, moving more than a ton of ice a day, while their custom-made ice sculptures decorate State House events. It's an entrepreneurial success story, but Betty Mbite, office manager of the Iceman Company, says the limits of the country's power supply puts the business in jeopardy.
Sometime last year when we had about 3 days without power and we couldn't operate at all. Yes, because the machines need power, the cold room needs power, and no one can go on without any power.
To keep their swans cold and to keep their customers happy, the Iceman needs a 24-hour supply of power. But relying on Kenya's grid is proving costly, says Mbite.
It is a difficult business, especially if the power is high, because everything you make goes to the power. Yes, we pay back to the government for power.
The number one cost for this business is power. No power, no ice. But the problem is in Kenya and across much of Africa is that power is often inaccessible, expensive, and inconsistent. So the continent's leaders are trying to find ways to make power more accessible so that the business environment can heat up.
Africa is facing enormous power challenges. Some 600 million Africans have no access to electricity at all. That's 60% of the population. Africa consumes less power than any other region in the world, but pays nearly the same average tariffs as the United States and about twice as much as East Asia. Speaking at the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland this year, African Development Bank President Donald Kaberuka said energy shortages are holding countries back.
At this moment, every single African country is experiencing energy shortages and power outages. That is costing the continent 2% of GDP. In fact, an African leader says that we are a continent of miracles. If we are growing at 5% without enough electricity, think of what we could do if we had enough electricity.
The African Development Bank says weak infrastructure is the biggest challenge to electricity distribution. Even richer nations like South Africa and Nigeria have fallen behind because of a lack of investment in power generation. While each nation presents its own challenges, Kaberuka says increasing the trade of energy across borders may help to create more consistent supplies and bring down prices.
It is not possible for our individual 54 countries to have energy security from their own domestic resources. We have to create viable regional markets for power, and that is possible
Investors are pouring money into renewable energy projects in Africa to help lessen the energy gap. But much more is needed. Africa's booming population, expected to double by 2050, will continue to put pressure on power supplies, and failure to improve generation could mean a lot of lost opportunity. Gabe Joselo, VOA News, Nairobi.
Now, across one of West Africa's most vibrant cities, residents are regularly enduring massive power outages. It's so bad, the locals call it dumso dumso, literally meaning on and off. Mel Bailey tells us more.
In Accra, the capital city of Ghana, over 4 million residents are often left without power for up to days at a time, making life very difficult, especially for business owners. Local boutique owner Saeed Boss describes how the power outages are affecting his community and the local economy.
About the power crisis that we have in Ghana, sometimes it's very, very amazing because sometimes you can go to work and get tired and go home without a light. Sometimes it's very, very frustrating.
The communications officer for the Minister of Energy, Edward Bawa, says Ghana's energy problems stem from Ghana's energy resources.
These three factors, the fuel, the fact that because of that we have some of the plants not working very well, the thermal plants, and the fact that we have a poor hydrology issue, that in terms of flow of water into Aga. These three factors have conspired to give us this deficit. Because ordinarily, based on the installed capacity that we have in Ghana, and looking at our demand, we should have been able to meet the country's demand, but unfortunately we are not able to do that because of these factors.
In response to the crisis, concerned citizens gathered at a local church in partnership with the Africa Center for Energy Policy and the Imani Center for Policy and Education to host a forum where local business owners could speak about their difficulties and present ideas for solutions.
I'm here to speak on behalf of the hair and beauty industry. Unlike most industries, members of Ghana hair and beauty industry are the hardest hit by the current load shedding of the power in the country.
The most realistic and cost-effective solution to our energy crisis has been with us all along. The question I ask myself every day is why is it that Ghana's abundant sunshine resource is being underutilized whilst we sleep in darkness? Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's my greatest honor to introduce to you solar energy.
One of the attendees of the forum took away a positive outlook on the current situation and offered this as a piece of advice.
We've talked about what the problems are. There are concrete solutions. They're very difficult decisions to take, but we have to take them. So the government should lead the way and show definite leadership and say, this is where we want to go. These are the problems. Here's the solutions. Let's go together.
This is Mel Bailey for Africa 54, Accra, Ghana.
Well, I want to know what you think about Africa 54 and the stories we covered. Join the conversation on Facebook. The address is Africa 54. And check out all headlines 24/7 on voaafrica.com. Coming up, an Ebola survivor makes a difference in Liberia. Stay with us.
The only world I knew was outside my window. I got good grades, and I was a part of the Boys Club of New York. I thought the good life I saw on TV was a dream. I chose to create my own options. I've taken risks to make products for African Americans. To me, Black History Month celebrates our contribution to this country and the opportunities I've had. I just want to do my part to make sure that legacy lives on. My name is Tristan Walker, and I'm an entrepreneur.
Welcome back. Lino Madu is on assignment, but we have a very good story from her on the deadly Ebola virus. An Ebola survivor in Liberia aims to use her experience with the disease to make a difference. Here's Africa 54's health correspondent Lino Madu.
At this Ebola treatment unit in the Grand Cape Mount region of Liberia, as in all ETUs, healthcare workers must wear full personal protective equipment or PPE when treating patients. This includes full-body disposal suits and goggles. Nurse's aide Sia Tamba, however, only has to wear a light personal protective equipment. As an Ebola survivor, she is free of the virus and is immune to contagion.
I take care of the little kids that they can bring here, and then they don't have their parents around. So I help in catering to them, like changing their diapers, bathing them, also giving them medications.
The Senje Etu, run by the International Organization for Migration, brings clinical care closer to Ebola patients in Grand Cape Mount County, where active transmission persists in some areas. Being able to work without full PPE allows Tamba to have closer contact and longer periods of time with the patients.
As a survivor, I know what Ebola means. More than you who is standing there that have not really gone through that struggle. You see, by you working in this kind of place, in the ETU, giving care, taking care of the Ebola patients, you do so many works. You can serve as a psychosocial, giving them courage, giving them hope.
Life as a survivor has not been easy for Nurse Tamba. Due to the stigma associated with Ebola, she was ostracized by her community and evicted from her home. Despite all the challenges, she never lost hope.
They don't allow you as a survivor to go among them, to associate yourself with them. They cannot allow that.
Tamba lost her mother, sister and daughter to Ebola. Lenore Moudou, VOA News.
Well, thanks a lot, Lenore. And we want to take you now back to our first story, our lead story on Nigeria, the postponement of the elections. And of course, we've had an escalation of violence in the northeastern part of Nigeria and on the border areas between Niger and Nigeria. For more on that, I'm joined by Seun Okinbaloye, who is from Channels Television in Lagos. Seun, thanks for joining us. And first, I want to ask you, it's countdown now to the election time. What is the general atmosphere, political atmosphere in the country?
Well, the general atmosphere is filled with anxiety, anticipation. Nigerians really want to go to the polls. They're ready. You know, elections since 1999 when we had returned to civil rule. It's been 4 years. That's according to the Nigerian Constitution. That's what the Electoral Act, the electoral law permits. And every 4 years, Nigerians are looking forward to general elections, either a change of power, continuation, or re-election. But when the postponement came, there were divisive voices from varying voices from the political parties. Some agreeing, some did not agree. But generally, in town from Nigerians, on the average, man on the street will say that they're quite disappointed slightly with the fact that it's shifted forward. It's shifted now by 6 weeks, and that's what the Independent National Electoral Commission chairman, Professor Atahiru Jega, announced on Saturday, when journalists waited for almost all day after several meetings. But generally, I must say that Nigerians anticipated this very moment when they will be able to vote. In essence, according to the earlier schedule, Nigerians should have gone to the polls in another 3 or 4 days, but now that will not be until another 6 weeks.
Yes. Now we've been hearing voices here and there that some Nigerians are now concerned about the credibility of the Electoral Commission, and some are even concerned that the election might actually not even take place. Are those generally rumors that are floating around?
Well, not so much of a question on the integrity of the commission, the electoral commission here in Nigeria. On the average, my man on the street will not so much talk about the present man who holds the office. So many elections in Nigeria in the past, a lot of people have attributed massive ballot stuffing and all of that. But this time around, it's not a talk of the credibility on the man who is there, because as at a time when he was appointed in 2010, he held his first election in 2011. A lot of trust in that person. He was a former vice chancellor of one of Nigeria's universities. He was a union leader of university teachers in Nigeria, and a lot of integrity and credibility is attached to his loins from the perspectives of Nigerians. But then this time around, it's somewhat a level of disappointment that what we have been expecting has not come today, but now that it's shifted, we hope that it will not further be postponed. Now,
we know that the focus is on the violence in the northeastern part of Nigeria and the areas on the border with the neighboring countries. What is being witnessed in terms of practical action by the government that can give confidence that when the time comes for the elections, they will take place in an atmosphere of peace?
Well, very good question there. That's a major one. A lot of analysts in Nigeria, they've been asking the question, what about the northeastern region of Nigeria? Don't forget that 3 states out of the 7 states in that region were formerly under emergency rule. But at some point, you know what happens under emergency rule? That means movement will not be 100%. A lot of things will not go as normal. But what we have right now is that the election was shifted because the commission says when it consulted with the security agencies and security chiefs, they say that they cannot guarantee security of material, security of the staff of the electoral umpire. But now what we are seeing now is that Nigerians are looking out for a situation where that place is secured, but the military is saying that they will be able to secure it, and they are getting the necessary help.
Sean, thank you very much. Sean Okinbaloye of Channels Television in Lagos. Thanks a lot. Well, it's time now for a short break. Still to come on Africa 54. Football legend and fashion mogul uses his star power to help children at risk. We'll be right back.
If you've just joined us, I'm Mariama Diallo, and here is a quick recap of today's headlines. In Egypt, Russian President Vladimir Putin attends talks with his Egyptian counterpart Abdel Fattah al-Sisi on a 2-day trip to Cairo. In Niger, Parliament votes to send troops to Nigeria and join the fight against militant group Boko Haram. In South Africa, thousands of delegates from around the world meet in Cape Town for world's largest mining investment conference. Finally, the Ivorian national football team is given a hero's welcome after their triumph at the Africa Cup of Nations. That's it for today. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.
Welcome back to Africa 54. Here's what's trending. David Beckham is calling on his fans to support his new charity, 7, the David Beckham UNICEF Fund to protect children around the world from danger. The 7 refers to the number that he famously wore on his England and Manchester United FC shirts during his decade as a UNICEF Goodwill Ambassador. The star has worked to raise awareness of issues affecting children, including malnutrition, Ebola, and AIDS. Funding over the next 3 years will help with a number of initiatives, including installing water pumps and training in their use in Burkina Faso, where diarrhea causes child deaths there. Well, next up, Well, followers of the Umbanda and Candomblé Afro-Brazilian religions blessed the iconic Rio de Janeiro Sambadrome in a cleansing ritual ahead of the Brazil Carnival. Thousands of people who could not afford their tickets to see the main parade also packed the Sambadrome to watch a samba school bust a move. This was the last rehearsal for the schools that will parade at this year's Carnival. The 2015 Carnival of Rio de Janeiro starts on February 13th and runs until February the 17th. Well, it's been a cold winter across much of the United States. While humans can put on a coat or coats or stay warm inside, animals in zoos need to be protected both from the winter cold and heat in the summer. VOA's Deborah Block visited the Smithsonian National Zoo in Washington, D.C. to find out how the animals are kept comfortable all year long.
There's nothing cuter than a baby giant panda at the National Zoo discovering snow for the first time.
They love being in the snow. They love to romp in the snow.
National Zoo scientist Don Moore says the pandas can tolerate Washington's cold winters and hot, humid summers because the temperatures are similar to their native environment.
Giant pandas are from the mountains of China, and it gets very, very cold there in the wintertime, and it gets between 70 and 85 degrees there. Fahrenheit in the summertime.
On this cold, wet day in Washington, these pandas don't need outside protection. They roam an area designed to mimic their natural habitat, with rocks, water, and dense bamboo thickets. The big male eats bamboo, the mainstay of the giant panda's diet. The stands of bamboo also offer protection when it's hot.
In the summertime, those trees give shade, of course, and then there are pools outside for the pandas. We give them ice blocks in the summertime.
Or they can go into a rocky enclosure where an air conditioner blows cool air on them. The pandas' climate-controlled indoor area keeps them comfortable all year long at a temperature between 15 to 21 degrees Celsius. Asian elephants prefer warmer conditions, but can maintain their body heat even when it's cold. Wooded trails offer exercise and shade. Structures in their outdoor enclosure also provide shade as well as heat.
The infrared heaters throw a lot of heat, and the elephants can stand up on their hind legs and reach up about 20 feet, so we protect those radiant heaters with a protective box.
The barn has both heat and air conditioning. Ceiling panels filter sunlight so the animals don't get too hot. Moore says a geothermal piping system under the sand-covered floor maintains a temperature that's comfortable for the animals.
It's got the geothermal cooling, and that comes through the sand and keeps the sand at 70 degrees, and that's for the elephants' benefit. It's good for their foot health. It's good for their joint health.
And if the animals get hot, they can go into their pool or even take a shower.
The elephants can go over, step on the plate. Then the water coming out of the shower is tempered so that it's not too cold, it's not too warm, it's just right.
Of course, some of the 400 species in the zoo never have to worry about the weather, since they live in various climate-controlled environments.
We provide indoor rain for them, we provide, different lighting for them. It's more important to vary the humidity and rainfall for the tropical animals.
Moore says the National Zoo wants its animals to feel at home, whatever the weather. Deborah Block, VOA News, Washington.
And that's our show for today. Thanks for watching. Have a good night. I'm Vincent McCory from Africa 54. This is VOA. Follow us on Africa 54. Go to facebook.com/VOA Africa 54.
How do you see the world?
I see countries in turmoil.
I see our planet changing.
I see people at peace.
No matter how you see the world, you'll get an unbiased and uncensored view of it on Voice of America. On television, radio, online, and mobile. In more than 40 languages all day, every day. Millions of people tune us in.
How do I see the world? On Voice of America.
I'm Ibrahim Ahmed with the House 24 mobile stream, Dendelin VOA.
This is VOA. Follow us on our website, dandelingvoa.com.